Hi everyone. Just a quick note before we start. English is not my first language, so I apologize if my pronunciation or accent sounds a little different. I hope you still enjoy the video and find the information helpful. Thanks for watching. The following announcement was made last week by Stephen Lett during the 4th 2025 annual report of the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Therefore, after prayerful consideration, the governing body has concluded that there is no need to make a rule regarding toasting and clinking glasses.
Yes, something that for most people is the most normal thing in the world requires special permission from their top leaders, the governing body. But the most interesting part is analyzing the reasons they gave for this change. And that's exactly what this video is about, taking a closer look at the reasoning and what we can learn from it. Before we begin, I'm trying to reach 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and your subscription would really mean a lot. If you have a second, or if you enjoy learning about Jehovah's Witnesses, go ahead and subscribe. We have a lot of fun here, and I think you'll like it. And while you're at it, why not give the video a like? It helps the algorithm show it for more people on YouTube. I really appreciate it. Good. To explain the reasons and prepare the audience for the announcement, Stephen Lett shared the following quotes.
Back in 1976, the Awake magazine posed this important question: what should be a Christian's attitude toward shapes and designs that have at some time or place been connected with false religion? This question may be involved when you choose wallpaper for your home, the print on a necktie or dress, or jewelry such as cufflinks, a bracelet, or a necklace to purchase. It may even be of concern regarding the design of lamps or dishes. You might wonder, is this design somehow connected with idolatrous worship? Then it offered this key thought. Many times a design will change in significance according to location and time. A certain shape may have a particular meaning to an observer at one time and place, but a different meaning to an observer elsewhere or in another age. So the Christian needs to be primarily concerned about what? Not what a certain symbol or design possibly meant thousands of years ago, or how it might be thought of on the other side of the world, but what it means now to most people where he lives. The article gave examples of common symbols that at one time were associated with false worship, but no longer have that meaning today. The examples mentioned included the heart, the fleur-de-lis, and the pomegranate. The article concluded with this practical advice: with so many different designs having been used in false worship, if a person went to the trouble and took the time, he might find an undesirable connection with almost every design he sees around him. But why do that? Would it not be needlessly upsetting? And is that the best use of one's time and attention? If a particular design or shape is commonly understood where you live to be a religious symbol, there is good reason to avoid it. Or if many people locally have become especially sensitive about some shape or decoration, the mature Christian might choose to shun it so as to avoid needless disturbance or stumbling. Those are helpful principles, aren't they?
That's right, Stephen. Very useful principles, if only you actually apply them consistently. It would save your flock from many unnecessary burdens. Now, let's look at some of the examples Mr. Lett gave.
What are some common examples today? What about covering your mouth when yawning? In ancient times, some people did so because they thought it would prevent one's soul from escaping. But what about today? Today, it is commonly viewed as a way of being polite and does not have a spiritistic meaning. What about wedding rings? Some historians claim wedding rings have pagan roots. Yet today, most people simply view wedding rings as a sign that the wearer is married.
Exactly, Stephen. Couldn't you for admit that your flag often comes across as rude or inconsiderate because of some of your unreasonable rules? Now, let's hear his conclusion.
Another example is toasting or clinking glasses. For years, Jehovah's Witnesses have avoided this practice because it may have had origins in false religion. However, now, in most places, toasting or clinking glasses no longer has any religious association. It is viewed simply as a friendly custom. Therefore, after prayerful consideration, the governing body has concluded that there is no need to make a rule regarding toasting and clinking glasses.
I completely agree. Toasting is just a friendly gesture. Now, do you remember the year of the Awake magazine quote Stephen Lett mentioned? Let me put it back on the screen in case anyone missed it. 1976. Let's reason this out. Back in 1976, did people toast thinking, let's do dig to ward of evil spirits? Of course not. Even then, it was just a friendly gesture, just like today. So, based on their own reasoning, they should have allowed toasting 49 years ago. Why didn't they? Let's not beat around the bush, because these are commandments of men who contradict themselves, men who are clearly not being guided by any God. Let's take another example. As recently as 2023, Jehovah's Witnesses didn't wear beards, which was always absurd considering that in Bible times, not only was having a beard common, it was considered humiliating to have it shaved off. For example, read 2 Samuel 10:4-5. In fact, in Watchtower publications, all adult biblical characters, including Jesus, were always shown with beards. So, the real question is, why did Jehovah's Witnesses never challenge the governing body about this issue? Clearly, because in the culture of Jehovah's Witnesses, questioning the governing body is frowned upon, because they are followers of men. To understand how beards became afforded among Jehovah's Witnesses, we need to go back to the time of Joseph Franklin Rutherford, the second president of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. Take a look at this picture of Rutherford compared with Charles T. Russell. What do you notice? Exactly, Russell had a beard, but Rutherford didn't. According to historian James Penton, Joseph Rutherford didn't like beards. To him, they were associated with Bolsheviks and clearly from Christendom. At first, it was just a rule to get into Bethel, But over time, the rule spread, and eventually any Jehovah's Witness with a beard was looked down upon. No one with a beard was appointed as a ministerial servant or elder. Did this rule have any biblical basis? Of course not. It was just the whim of an authoritarian man named Joseph Franklin Rutherford. So, if you were a Jehovah's Witness and wanted to have a beard but didn't, it was because you were following men, just like the rest of us were back then. I wish it all ended here with toast and beards, but sadly, that's not the case. Unfortunately, the mistakes of these men have cost human lives. Let me give you a clear example. The Watchtower of November 15, 1967 said that organ transplants were a form of cannibalism, and that true Christians should reject them. Years later, in the Watchtower of March 15, 1980, they reversed their position and allowed them. And I ask, what about the people who could have saved their lives with an organ transplant? Do they not matter? Does the governing body not feel the weight of those lives on their conscience? Clearly not. It's not just absurd to follow these men. It's dangerous. They don't care about your life. So, if you're one of Jehovah's Witnesses, think about this when you face with the decision of whether to accept a blood transfusion for yourself or a loved one. Think about it when you have to decide whether to go to college or whether to serve as a pioneer or a Bethel. Remember, following men is dangerous. It can cost you your life or precious years of your youth that you'll never get back. And you may regret it later in life. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon. And make sure you select all so you don't miss a single video. And if you want to learn more about Jehovah's Witnesses, click on the video on the screen. See you soon.